Alright, Sylvia. If you can please, pretty please, send me one of your videos. I love it so much when you just send them to me.
Grant Amato.
Grant Amato.
Grant Amato.
Armed and dangerous.
Grant Amato is accused of killing his parents and his brother.
Just a horrific experience for everybody.
Everything that I had done, so inescapable. And I am the one who had dug my own grave. Like, I'm the one who did all this. The life that I knew and the life that I had hoped for with my brother was over with. So now this life that I was left with was pointless.
How much of a fucking mess is this when I go walk in here?
No lights on inside. No sound from the rooms. Just a house sitting in complete stillness. The kind that makes officers pause before even knocking. On the morning of January 25th, 2019, police officers arrived at a home in Chuluota, Florida, after receiving a request for a welfare check. The concern had come from coworkers of 28-year-old Cody Amato, who had failed to report to work and could not be reached. For most people, missing a shift might not immediately raise alarm, but Cody was known for being dependable. When he did not show up and stopped responding to calls, those around him knew something was wrong. When officers reached the house, everything appeared quiet. The doors were locked, and nobody answered. Eventually, they entered the residence. And what they found inside would shock even experienced investigators. 3 members of the Amato family were dead. And that's all that's left of this case. Questions that don't fully settle, and a timeline that feels heavier the more you understand it. Nothing about it happened in isolation, and nothing about it feels easy to explain in one answer. What do you think was the point of no return here? Comment below. And if you want more true crime stories like this, subscribe for the next one. Chad Amato was lying on the kitchen floor. Margaret Amato was found slumped over a desk in the home office, and Cody Amato was discovered in a storage room. All 3 had been shot in the head. At first glance, there were signs that seemed to suggest a murder-suicide. A firearm had been left near Cody's body, and the scene appeared arranged to point investigators toward a specific conclusion. But as detectives began examining the scene more closely, that theory started to crumble. The truth was far more disturbing. To understand what happened inside that house, investigators had to look back, months before the murders, to a family that seemed to have everything going for them. The Amatos were a kind of family that appeared stable from the outside. Chad Amato had built a successful career as a clinical pharmacist, while his wife Margaret worked in senior management. Together, they raised their sons in Chuluota, a quiet community outside Orlando. Friends and relatives later described them as hardworking people who valued education, responsibility, and family. Their 2 sons, Cody and Grant, grew up sharing many of the same interests. They attended the same schools and shared many interests. During high school, both developed a strong interest in health and fitness and joined the weightlifting team at Timber Creek High School. Their shared passion for healthcare eventually influenced their career choices. Both brothers enrolled at the University of Central Florida and entered nursing programs. To outsiders, they appeared to be following very similar paths. As the years progressed, however, their lives began moving in different directions. Cody excelled academically and eventually completed training to become a nurse anesthetist, a demanding and highly respected profession within the medical field. Grant initially followed a similar route, but eventually dropped out of the nurse anesthetist program. Although he did not complete the advanced training, he was able to secure employment as a nurse at Advent Health Orlando. For a time, there was little reason to believe his future would be anything other than successful. He had a career, a supportive family, and opportunities that many people would have been grateful to receive. But in 2018, that future began to unravel. In June of that year, concerns emerged at a hospital where Grant worked. Staff members discovered several empty vials of propofol, a powerful sedative commonly used in medical procedures. According to reports, the medication had not been prescribed for patients under Grant's supervision. The discovery triggered an investigation that placed him under intense scrutiny. When questioned, Grant reportedly stated that he had administered the medicine because certain patients were not adequately relaxed. The explanation failed to satisfy hospital administrators, and the situation quickly escalated. Grant was suspended while the investigation continued. During that period, concerns were also raised about his mental and emotional state. Although officers later stated that he did not meet the criteria to be considered a danger to himself or others, the investigation into the medication issue continued moving forward. Ultimately, the hospital terminated his employment. Law enforcement later arrested him on allegations connected to the case, although the charges were eventually dropped. Even without a conviction, however, the damage was already done. His nursing career had effectively collapsed. Losing a career can be devastating for anyone, but in Grant's case, the loss appeared to trigger a deeper downward spiral. Unable to find stable employment and facing an uncertain future, he moved back into his parents' home. At the same time, his younger brother Cody was thriving professionally. The contrast between the two brothers became increasingly difficult to ignore. One had achieved the career goals they had once both shared. The other was unemployed and struggling to rebuild his life. During this period, Grant began spending more time online. He developed an interest in becoming a Twitch streamer and hoped he could build a career by broadcasting video game content. His family supported the idea and even provided money for equipment and setup costs. They believed he was trying to create a new path for himself after losing his nursing job. Unfortunately, that was not where the money was actually going. Instead, Grant had become deeply involved with adult webcam websites. One platform in particular would soon consume nearly every aspect of his life. The site was My Free Cams, a platform where viewers could pay performers for private conversations and personalized interactions using virtual tokens. While browsing the site, Grant encountered a Bulgarian webcam model named Sylvia Vinceslaslova, who used the online names Sylvie and Addie Sweet. At first, she was simply one performer among thousands, but over time, Grant became increasingly fixated on her. What began as an occasional viewing gradually transformed into a full-blown obsession. He spent hours each day watching her broadcasts, participating in chats, and purchasing tokens that allowed him to interact with her directly. According to reports, he sometimes spent 4 hours a night on the website. He regularly purchased token packages worth hundreds of dollars, and because Sylvie's private sessions cost 90 tokens per minute, the expenses accumulated at an astonishing rate. The most troubling part was that Grant did not have the money to support this lifestyle. He was unemployed and living with his parents, yet the spending continued. It was later discovered that he had been taking money from family members to finance his online obsession. Credit cards were used without permission. Family accounts were accessed. Funds disappeared. When questioned about his financial needs, Grant reportedly claimed he needed money to support his streaming ambitions. In reality, enormous amounts of money were being funneled into webcam sessions and gifts for Sylvie.
All right, Sylvia, look at me. I'm outside going to check the mail. And I'm asking you if you can please pretty please send me one of your videos? I love it so much when you just send them to me. Yeah, I don't like buying your stuff. It makes me feel weird. Could you please send me one though?
As the months passed, the situation grew worse. Grant allegedly presented himself to Sylvie as a wealthy and successful gamer. He purchased gifts, sent money, and spent huge sums to maintain her attention. Investigators later estimated that approximately $200,000 belonging to his family had been spent on this online relationship.
Okay. So how much do you think he spent on this?
Probably close to like $200,000, I'd say.
$200,000?
Yeah.
The figure was staggering. It represented years of savings and financial security. For the Amato family, discovering the extent of the losses was devastating. Despite everything, Grant's family continued trying to help him. Rather than immediately cutting him off, they attempted to intervene. They confronted him about the missing money and encouraged him to seek treatment. Eventually, they paid approximately $15,000 for him to attend a rehabilitation program focused on internet and pornography addiction. Their decision reflected both their desperation and their hope that professional treatment might help him regain control of his life. When Grant returned home, strict conditions were established. His family gave him what amounted to a final opportunity to turn things around. He was expected to find employment, stop wasting money online, and completely cut contact with Sylvie. The rules were clear, and the consequences for violating them were equally clear. For a short time, there was reason to believe the situation might improve. But the progress did not last. Grant soon found ways to resume contact with the webcam model. At one point, he reportedly convinced his mother to let him use her phone. Rather than using the opportunity responsibly, he contacted Sylvie once again. When Chad learned what had happened, he finally reached his limit. Months of deception, stolen money, broken promises, and failed treatment had exhausted the family's patience. According to reports, Chad ordered Grant to pack his belongings and leave the house. It was a turning point in the family's relationship. For the first time, Grant faced the real possibility of losing both the fantasy he had built online and the support system that had sustained him throughout his life. Investigators would later argue that this confrontation became the immediate catalyst for everything that followed. On January 24, 2019, Grant carried out a plan that would destroy his family forever. According to prosecutors, he first targeted his mother. Margaret was sitting at a computer in the family home when Grant approached from behind and shot her in the back of the head. The weapon used was an IWI Jericho 941 pistol that investigators later determined had been stolen from a friend months earlier. After killing Margaret, Grant waited for his father to return home. When Chad entered the kitchen, he was shot twice. Both parents were dead. The final victim was Cody. Unlike his parents, Cody was not home at the time. He was working. Prosecutors later alleged that Grant used his father's phone to send Cody a message, convincing him to come back to the house. Cody had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. He returned home expecting a normal evening. Instead, he walked into a deadly trap. When Cody entered the residence, Grant shot him as well. Investigators later found his body curled in a fetal position. Within a matter of hours, an entire family had been wiped out. But Grant's plan did not end with the murders. Prosecutors argued that he attempted to stage the crime scene to resemble a murder-suicide committed by Cody. The gun was placed near Cody's body, and elements of the scene appeared designed to shift blame onto him. Had investigators accepted the scene at face value, the truth might have never have been discovered. However, Evidence soon began contradicting the narrative. Detectives found inconsistencies between the physical evidence and the murder-suicide theory. Their attention quickly turned towards Grant, who was nowhere to be found. A manhunt began. For approximately 24 hours, authorities searched all over for him. Eventually, investigators located his vehicle and tracked him to a DoubleTree hotel in Orange County, Florida. He was taken into custody and brought in for questioning. During the interrogation, detectives noticed inconsistencies in his statements. At various points, Grant offered explanations that investigators found difficult to believe.
So you're telling me you did not shoot Cody,
No.
your father, or your mother?
No. I mean, I don't know, like, what more I can say.
Well, when law enforcement arrived, that's what they found.
One account involved him seeing police vehicles and media crews near his family home after the murders, but choosing not to investigate. Instead, he allegedly claimed he went to a Panera Bread and searched online for top news stories. To detectives, the explanation raised more questions than answers. Meanwhile, investigators continued building their case. Financial records documented the massive thefts connected to his obsession with Sylvie.
Did you leave the house with your brother Cody looking like that? Or did you leave the house with your father looking like that? Or your mother? Is that how you left your family?
No.
Who left your family like this? If you were the one that's been depressed, you were the one that owes money, you were the one that got into a confrontation with your father, who did this to your family?
No, I didn't do any of this.
Digital evidence revealed the extent of his online activities. Crime scene analysis undermined this murder-suicide theory.
Did they know where the money was going to?
They didn't know that it was going to a cam model.
What did you
I
tell
was
them?
saying that it was going towards my Twitch streaming, like advertising, like putting my name out there and that type of thing.
Piece by piece, prosecutors assembled a timeline that connected Grant's financial desperation, family conflicts, addiction issues, and the murders themselves. The trial began in July 2019. Prosecutors argued that Grant had become so consumed by his obsession that he viewed his family as obstacles standing between him and the life he wanted. They presented evidence detailing the theft of approximately $200,000, the rehabilitation efforts funded by his family, the ultimatum he received after contacting Sylvie again, and the events leading up to the murders. The defense challenged aspects of the investigation and questioned certain conclusions reached by forensic experts. However, the prosecution's timeline painted a compelling picture of a man whose life had become completely dominated by fantasy, deception, and financial ruin. One of the most emotional moments came when Grant's older half-brother, Jason, testified. Jason had survived only because he did not live in the family home. Following Grant's arrest, he had attempted to persuade him to tell the truth. According to reports, Grant remained steadfast in maintaining his innocence. As the trial continued, prosecutors sought the death penalty. Given the nature of the crime and the number of victims, they believed the harshest punishment was appropriate. Ultimately, the jury found Grant guilty on all 3 counts of first-degree murder.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner. Yes.
The verdict was delivered on August 12, 2019. During the sentencing phase, however, the jury did not unanimously support a death sentence. Under Florida law, that meant the death penalty could not be imposed. Instead, Grant received life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. 3 life sentences were handed down, 1 for each victim. When asked whether he felt remorse, Grant gave a statement to many observers that they found chilling. He responded, "My family has been blaming me for months for ruining their lives, stealing, and not following the rules of the home. So I might as well be blamed for this too." The comment only deepened public fascination with the case. For many people, it seemed to reveal a complete refusal to accept responsibility for what had happened. Years later, Grant Amato's name would return to the headlines for an entirely different reason. In 2025, authorities revealed that while incarcerated, he had allegedly been exchanging romantic and sexual messages through a smuggled phone with Victoria Goodwin, the wife of Ghost Adventure star Aaron Goodwin. According to investigators, Victoria discussed plans to hire a hitman to murder her husband, and Grant allegedly helped connect her with someone willing to carry out the crime. Although the murder was never committed, and Victoria was ultimately arrested and sentenced to prison, the revelations once again placed Grant at the center of a highly publicized criminal story. Today, Grant Amato remains incarcerated at Hardy Correctional Institution in Florida, serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. The case continues to attract attention because it combines several disturbing elements into a single tragedy: career failure, addiction, financial theft, family conflict, obsession, and murder. What began as an online fixation gradually consumed every part of Grant's life, until the people closest to him became obstacles rather than family. By the time the fantasy finally collapsed, 3 innocent people were dead, a family had been destroyed, and one of the most shocking familicide cases in modern American history had been written into the criminal record. Thank you everybody for following me on this investigation. If you found this video to be entertaining and informative, please make sure to like and subscribe for future videos. We will see you all in the next investigation.